35. That is the number of Premier League matches this season in which Chelsea have been outran by their opponents. However, there is one team that refused to let this stat grow. In the 36th, Liverpool and Arne Slot decided that they had to do something about this. 1 week later, the man that so many Liverpool fans placed their hopes and dreams on to replace Arne Slot and lead them back to the promised land joins Chelsea. Those two events are likely unrelated, but the timing, it's quite funny, isn't it? Sending thoughts and prayers to the McAllister household. You guys that are laughing clearly aren't cultured. It's called an homage.
That we've conceded far too many goals. I think we also didn't score enough goals. Although 2 away at Villa Park is not bad. If you would have told me before the game you score 2, you think you're close to a result.
I don't think Liverpool fans would agree here. This team concedes far too many goals to ever think scoring a couple means a result is close. Speaking of which, 52. Liverpool have not conceded that many goals in the Premier League since 1994. They did it this year. Mohamed Salah is a player that has never been shy to speak his mind at Liverpool when he doesn't like what's going on. Although, in those cases, he's usually angling for a new contract. So, seeing as he's already confirmed to be leaving the club, why would anyone expect him to hold his tongue today? Quote, "I want to see Liverpool back to being the heavy metal attacking team that opponents fear, and back to being a team that wins trophies." End quote. This is directly quoting a recent Instagram post. In a few more words than this, he's basically saying, "Slot, your style is not doing it for me or the fans. You better never show your face in these ends again, fam." I improvised a little bit on that last part, sorry about that. Anyway, the message he was trying to deliver with this post resonated with just about the entire Liverpool squad. If this doesn't scream "lost the dressing room," I'm not sure what does. What makes this all the more wild is that Liverpool are a very unique football club in that they are perhaps the last truly elite modern football organization where the manager is, more often than not, held up to a higher degree than the players. It's a sentiment that has been in position for a very, very long time, and it's one that you'd imagine culturally will remain in some way for years to come. So when the support along with the players revolt against the man in charge so openly, you can't blame people for feeling we're past the point of no return.
I have every reason to believe I'm the Liverpool manager next season. First of all, I'm contracted to this club. And second of all, from all the talks we are having.
Yeah, I mean, but will that be the case come August? Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Welcome back, I'm Tinashe. I must admit, today's video is kind of all over the place. It was initially just supposed to be a Liverpool video only and just talking about their season and Slot in general, but after the Xabi Alonso news, it kind of evolved into, I guess, kind of a Chelsea, Liverpool, maybe a sprinkle of Real Madrid type of video. Let's see where we go with this. Also, subscribe if you haven't. Got a lot of really cool plans for the World Cup coming up. Chelsea and Liverpool actually have a lot in common this year. They are the number 1 and 2 top spenders in the league in the 25-26 season. They've both suffered from rampant inconsistency over the years. Both were knocked out of the Champions League by PSG in back-to-back rounds. However, I would say that Chelsea are probably in a bit more of a chaotic state than the Reds. At the very least, Liverpool will likely secure Champions League football courtesy of the English coefficient. The world champions, on the other hand, have failed to qualify for the Champions League for the 3rd time in 4 years and may miss out on European football altogether. The football has been dire, the players aren't running, they can't coordinate on the pitch, it's just all a bit of a mess. They also just lost in an FA Cup final, although I must admit that they didn't play too badly in that final, in my eyes at the very least. The ref was questionable here and there, but aren't they always? What's the point in going any further on this? Although, quite interestingly, Chelsea lined up in a 3-4-2-1, Xabi Alonso's preferred setup. But at the end of the day, when it comes to Chelsea, for all the horrible things that people, might want to say about them, you cannot deny that when a plan isn't going to scratch, they're not afraid to pivot. What the plan is to begin with, especially with this new ownership, is a whole other point of contention. Liverpool, philosophically at least, do not seem so keen to follow that principle. Who knows how Chelsea's latest pivot is actually going to work out for them? Need I remind you guys that Enzo Maresca was Chelsea's manager only 5 months ago, and there has already been a guy in between him and the new guy. His dismissal came down to a few things, but at its core it seemed disagreement with the ownership were at the top of the list. There was the whole worst 48 hours since he joined the club episode, which was followed by news of the club medical staff interfering with his squad planning. There were stories of him being ignored when he requested depth and seniority in the dressing room. There were stories of the board requesting that certain players be given game time just so they can keep their transfer value up. Interviewing for Pep Guardiola's job mid-season probably didn't help. Throughout all of this, the prevailing public opinion seemed to land on the idea that Chelsea are currently a club that is averse to strong coaching personalities and may not be conducive to trusting the process. So here they are hiring a manager who is building a reputation for needing a certain level of control and trust to thrive after he just left a place where he reportedly had none of those things. Then again, there are people that are paid way more than you or I to identify when changes need to be made and implement them. Perhaps a sign of all of this is written in plain English for all of us to see in this coach announcement post. Xabi Alonso was announced as manager. Enzo Maresca was almost exclusively referred to as a head coach. The same went for Liam Rosenior, same for Graham Potter, same for Pochettino. I had to go all the way back to the Thomas Tuchel announcement for even a mention of the word manager within the announcement post. Conte was welcomed as the head coach in his announcement headline. Heck, even Jose Mourinho didn't have the specific word in his headline. You know, at this point, I wouldn't blame you for questioning your decision to click on this video. Dissecting announcement phrasing isn't exactly riveting. It may not even be meaningful.
I came here to be the manager, not to be the coach. I know that my name is not Tuchel, is not Conte, is not Mourinho, but I'm the manager.
Okay, it definitely is meaningful to that guy. Realistically, the title and framing probably is quite important to most first-team coaches worth anything in this day and age, but what's quite interesting about this situation is that all the reporting seems to indicate that Xabi Alonso did not specifically request this denomination. Chelsea gave it to him unprompted. It seems that what helped was his desire to create a team of quote-unquote mentality monsters and convincing them he needs real power in recruitment and several other aspects to do so. Listen, time will tell if Xabi Alonso and Chelsea made the right choice here. Chelsea have gone through 6 permanent managers in the 4 years since Bluecoat took over. Remember that this is the same club whose directors claim that there is no statistical relationship between managers and results only 2 months ago. Lord knows that if this ends the same way it has for all of Chelsea's previous managers in the Bluecoat era, the I told you so boys will be out in full force immediately. Wait, what's that? Alvaro Arbeloa says it's his fault if that happens? Interesting. We'll save the tactics, speculation, and opinions on exactly how his previous systems may translate to Chelsea for when Chelsea inevitably make their summer signings and we figure out who's staying and who isn't. But from a pure management perspective, I think people are expecting really big things from Alonso. I am. I think at this point, the world is now more or less aligned to the idea that he wasn't to blame for the collapse that happened over at Real Madrid this season. So you won't see a lot of people saying that that's a blip in his resume. We went into detail about that in the last video, and a lot of it comes down to player power. Chelsea may not have Real Madrid levels of divas and entitlement, but player power certainly plays a factor in that dressing room. Need I remind you that players openly mock the head coach? According to the BBC, players reportedly called Rosenior a supply teacher and openly mocked his performative antics. Graham Potter's mockery revolved around Quidditch. For obvious reasons. They did seem to respect Enzo Maresca though. I guess it's like when your Charizard doesn't respect you because you don't have the correct badges. Could never be me. But if there is any manager, any young manager in the world football that has the badges to demand respect right now, it is Alonso. His battles with Mikel Arteta will be legendary. As for Liverpool fans, this badges metaphor is definitely part of what makes this whole affair so painful. You have a championship-winning side here, with players that we know are capable of working hard, listening to a coach, and most importantly, outworking the opponent. You have a manager with an emotional connection to the club. Liverpool reportedly tried to get Xabi Alonso before they even went for Arne Slot, before Alonso went to Real Madrid, but he decided that he was not ready yet and he wanted to stay another year at Bayer Leverkusen. Now, the stars, they may align in the future for Alonso to go to Liverpool eventually. That's probably quite likely. They also aligned last week. and Liverpool didn't do anything about it. The reason being that the word is that Liverpool never even considered the prospect of letting Arne Slot go, so there was no meaningful contact with Alonso. However, after watching that latest Aston Villa game, it really makes me wonder what they're seeing that we aren't, because against Villa, the team was really awful to look at. And I've been replaying a lot of these goals and a lot of the plays, and I've been just wondering what I'm looking at. Like, what's going on here? From a defensive corner situation, how in the world is Morgan Rogers able to receive, turn, and set up a shot all in Liverpool's box? How has Mamardashvili parried the ball right back to Villa players twice? And why are Villa players able to get onto not one, but 2 rebounds? Seriously, there is no movement from any of Liverpool's players except the keeper. This is baffling. What is this aura defending going on for McGinn's last goal? It's a great strike, but what's going on here? Liverpool were just so easy to play through. They didn't track their runners, the challenges were weak, and then Arne Slot comes out in his post-match interview and he just says the strangest things. He says that Liverpool did quite well to score 2 goals against Aston Villa at Villa Park, despite losing 4-2. He then said fans underestimate the amount of progress that can be made from one transfer window. I don't know if he's watching the same season. Didn't Liverpool just spend like £400 million in one window only to get worse? It doesn't inspire a lot of confidence. Which brings up the fact that the narrative pendulum in football is really quite terrifying, if you ask me. It really was not that long ago when we had fierce battles and arguments between not only Liverpool supporters and rivals, but within the Liverpool support itself about whether the 24-25 title-winning squad was Arne Slot's or Jurgen Klopp's. Klopp undertook a rebuild a year before he left, replaced some key players, and got the team back up to scratch. Slot came in and no signings were made other than a perpetually injured Federico Chiesa, and then wins the league. And now a strong narrative is that when he actually gets to build in his image and is given strong financial backing, the entire system collapses. It's quite tragic when you think about it like that. Obviously, it's not that black and white, but it's also not far from the truth, is it? Personally, I don't think Arne Slot lasts until the beginning of next season. I wouldn't be surprised to see, a sneaky sacking during the World Cup where no one's really paying all that much attention and then they can kind of get their affairs in order. Then again, who is there to replace him? Especially after the perfect candidate is off the market. Days for Liverpool have certainly been brighter. And there we have it. Let me know your thoughts about Liverpool and Chelsea. Big video coming out tomorrow, so you can watch out for that one. That's all for me today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you're having a great day. Cheers, and I will catch you in the next one.